to see that I was put into some kind of institution, kept there, held there, drugged, and I simply refused all the drugs. And a little different than Mark, I'm not exactly, I couldn't exactly be forced into it. Although they tried that too. 4 security guards came in to hold me down so they could give me an injection, supposedly a tranquilizer. The
Hey, listen, up here in Colorado that started it all, these people in mental health need mental health. They think that therapy is wrapping up little kids in blankets and suffocating them. Yeah, these are the kind of people we're trying to get out of our children's lives. They're the ones that are stealing the children in the Judy Chase case. All with the cooperation of this corrupt government that's causing a great deal of harm because of the lie of Columbine. I can explain that at another time, but there's a social problem that we deal with that is causing suicides. We had 2 girls that committed suicide from Australia here because they were following in the footsteps of those killers, and that creates a problem where the killers are being shown as being hateful towards classmates, and the kids that are on the edge that are unhappy over that issue, they end up following these kids right to suicide and violence. And in fact, these killers have nothing to do with that. They were raped. The killers at Columbine were raped kids. You know, I hate to tell you that, but that's what it is. And they have nothing to do with you kids that are committing suicide by following those and hero worshiping them. Okay? And I see it all the time because I'm working in this. We're trying to stop kids from killing themselves because of school violence. No, it wasn't school violence, kids. It was the cops that provoked those 2 little boys. Get off it.
All right, now there's something else. I don't want to divert too much from this, but
right
I volunteered for Vietnam in 1964, and over 78,000 of my brothers have committed suicide. That's more than were killed in Vietnam. And with the Gulf War and the Afghani vets, we're experiencing the same time. What is this? Is this somehow related? What's happening to our veterans? Are they
well? I think that they have to deal with all these issues. There's a lot of PTSD, and I had friends. I worked in the airline industry as an aircraft mechanic, so I worked with a lot of the guys when they came back and went to work. And so I was kind of like there for them. They'd just come off the battlefield and were going to work on airplanes. And so I sat a long time talking to these guys that were coming back, and it broke my heart to hear the stories. You know, they're coming back talking about rigor mortis and things I wasn't familiar with. And you know, as far as death in my life, the closest tragedy I've ever been to is Columbine, obviously. So I had to experience that type of trauma without having the battlefield experience, but I certainly heard enough war stories to have a lot of compassion for those guys, and it breaks my heart that they weren't accepted back. You know, it could have been me, but I was lucky enough to stay in a training program that kept me out. And
okay, let me, Donna, this facility up there. What kind of facility is this? And where is the money? How are they profiting off of keeping Mark locked up? Basically, he's locked up, isn't he?
Yeah.
Now I just had, if you go back to my site and you listen to the interview I did a few days ago with Paul Pantone, and folks, all you have to do on my site, Free American, is go onto the archive show, bottom right hand side of the page, click on the name of my guest, and you'll be able to hear the show. But Paul Pantone has been a friend of mine for 20 years. He invented the GEAT device, which will double your mileage on your automobiles. It's a carburation system. And they put him in a mental institution for 3.5 years. It took us 3.5 years to get him out because, he must be crazy because he says he can run a motor on water. Yeah, and waste oil too. Yes, he can. And 3.5 years. 3.5 years in a mental institution because he wouldn't give them the patent. Now,
That's awful.
Tell me about this. Where Mark is? What kind of place? You already told us now that they do home service and all this, but he's not in a foster home. He's not. He is in an institution of some type, right?
He's in the house. It's a group. They call them a group home. So, like, it would be a house in a neighborhood. So they're in a regular neighborhood. Okay. So,
So could he just go get up and walk out the door and get in a car and leave?
No, he can't. The people inside the house lock the door with a key inside, so that they can get out. Okay, so they're locked in till that person unlocks the door so they can leave. Okay.
How about fire protection? That didn't happen.
I don't know.
Him in there. That's not a good.
Nope.
That's
a small house, 1,500 square foot house. Not big house at all. No basement. 1,500 square feet, right? And they have 5 men in there plus the 2 workers that spend the night there in that 1,500 square foot area. That many. They got 7 people in a 1,500 square foot area.
Is he able to protect himself from the other parties in that house? Is he?
No.
I mean.
No.
Yeah.
No. Who knows what they could be doing? They could be raping him in there. I don't know. These people are relentlessly evil. You can't even ask questions. And like, when I was there in May, I met with Mark and I says, let's talk to your counselor about getting out of here. And the caseworker, Katrina, came up to me and says, you can't do nothing without getting permission from the caseworker. You can't do nothing. You can't talk about nothing. Nothing. She stands there and screams at me.
Can't talk
about it. Watch every word that you say.
What would happen?
Like there's some kind of a terrorist when they are the terrorist, okay?
What would happen if I just walked up and knocked on the door and said, I want to see Mark Taylor?
They would say you can't. They would say you can't see him.
What if I walked up with a police? What if I walked up with a police officer and the police officer asked to see Mark, and the police officer asked Mark, "Do you want to be here, son, or you want to come with us?"
That would be a good idea if you can do that. And I'm going to tell you something. I did call the police department one time there. When I called Mark and found out from somebody that answered the phone there, one of his other inmates, and said that they were all by themselves and they weren't being watched that evening. There was nobody there watching them. So I called the police because I was worried about the protection of my son. Okay? And nothing was done. Not a damn thing was done with the police there. So, and you better get a private one to go up there, one that you know personally. Because they stick up for the mental. They're in cahoots with the mental.
Okay.
Yep. So, that's where it's at.
Okay, back to your attorney. What is his plan of action? What is he going to do? Just going to go to trial, or is he going to do it?
Well, he talked about trying to get him removed and brought back to Colorado and put him in another home somewhere here. And I don't object to him coming back to another place, but he needs to be put off the drugs, not into another institution to be drugged. That's why I set up an account so we don't have to go under the Medicare Medicaid plan, because they won't pay for anybody to be off these drugs. They want them on them. Medicare, Medicaid is in cahoots with the psychic ward, okay?
Yes, I believe that.
That's why I'm trying to get donations to help pay for Mark, and that could happen any day. In the next few days, I've got some investors willing to donate several hundred.
All right, what is that website for the donations again?
It's Columbine Family for FOR Mark MARK Taylor TAYLOR, and it's with the Wells Fargo.
And that's .com?
Yeah, no, that's just they can donate to Wells Fargo. That's the account name that they can put it into.
There's no place they can go online to make a donation?
No. And the bank suggested we don't do that with any numbers or anything like that, any checking account numbers or anything. They said it's too unsafe. So that's why we just do Columbine Family for FOR Mark Taylor. It's very simple. And then they can donate right straight to the deposit to the Wells Fargo.
Okay. I'll get that.
And I look at this like, if we need to open up an account in every city to get this done, then I guess I'll have to do that.
Okay. That will be up on the website in a couple of minutes here.
All right. And any questions they have, they can contact you, and you can get in touch with me and Ron.
Okay.
I don't know if Ron wants his phone number out. I certainly don't. I've been getting...
No, we don't do that. I don't do that.
I don't want to do that.
I don't put phone numbers out. And Ron operates Columbine Family for ColumbineFamilyRequest.org. That's all linked on my... Yes, sir, Ron.
Can I bring us up to the present as far as how this is played out in my life, just to let you guys know?
Yes, sir.
That they think I'm quite dangerous. They tried to set me up by stealing some tools, and next thing you know, I've been I find myself on my face. I'm just going to say quickly that I got assaulted from behind by two officers who broke my back while I was trying to escape into my business. And I've been arrested twice falsely, and in fact I've gotten through that part of the trial at this point where they've exonerated me of all charges, but they won't go after the cop that did it to me. And I have a problem with the fact that I've been trying to share this information with the local sheriff here, and instead of dealing with it properly, he ended up going on the attack, which is going to be quite the interesting court case. But you see how it happens when you tie into these things, that you want to get out because you think there's children in danger. And that's all I've been doing here, is there are children in danger of being assaulted by police officers in a sexual manner, and the cop shops aren't doing anything about it. You understand? This is throughout the nation too. It's not just here. We've got too many school shootings here that I can directly relate to the dysfunctionability of the cops that are having sex with kids. In the case of the Platte Canyon shooting, for instance, I'm in Platte Canyon, knew Emily, the girl that got killed, and it wasn't about a guy that was a pedophile that came in there to have sex with kids. It was a guy that was getting even for his child having sex, and that's what we're dealing with. We discovered that the school resource officer got a girl pregnant. Now we found out it was two girls pregnant. And these people aren't doing anything about it but attacking me because I'm exposing this. Now, I came by that information quite honestly because I have kids from that high school working for me. And if I can't take the kids' information and get something done about it without getting my back broken, we've got real problems in this country. Do you understand that?
Oh, I certainly think we've got problems in this country, and it's your choice of words is interesting, Ron, because I am just working on my next article that basically says the most dangerous men in America. Are they outlaws? Really? You know?
No.
No, I don't think so. I'll tell you who I think the most dangerous of men is. That's people like me and you that are individuals capable of critical thinking. I said they've got many names for us. They refer to us as dangerous men, outlaws, lone wolves, anti-government, right-wing extremists, racists, and anti-Semites, as if by calling us a name somehow negates the truth of all the information we are providing in our books, films, magazines, and radio shows.
Well, in this case, the second arrest, it was a false arrest. They just messed up some paperwork or doctored some paperwork. And in this case, they arrested me with 8 police officers in a small rural area. That's most of their police force. And it's quite interesting because I'm not a big imposing man. I'm average size. Gee, I really have them frightened for them to have to come here at my place of business and with 8 men and chain me and carry on. My kids that work for me are standing out there on the deck. Here, kids, take the keys. try to get me out, you know, and they're taking me away. And it gets to be a little tiring when it's happened twice to me, simply because they want to harass me. And what I'm doing is quite honest. I don't understand why I can't stand up for the kids in this community. And we need some answers. It's a sad thing to tell the American people that, yeah, you better watch your wallets and your children because they're, excuse the word, effing your children. Is that proper? Now, if you don't like that word, think about what that word means. Have a doctor explain it to you in technical medical terms, and maybe you'll understand what I'm trying to tell you, that, yeah, we don't tolerate the people in the position of trust to be doing that to our children, and we shouldn't tolerate a government that covers it up. Because every person I've gone to with this information has created a crime, because I'm trying to report a pedophilic situation where a man in a position of trust attacks a child. The child goes on to commit a school shooting. I can't get anybody in a position of trust to take my complaint, and that's really, really sad. That's really amazing to me that a man who has an interest in dead children and why can't seem to get someone to obey the law and handle this in an appropriate manner. I've got the information, and I can't quite understand why the authorities don't think that they need to be accountable for what they did at Columbine, because they provoked those two killers, not the jocks. And that's very simple terms.
Now,
they
Donna,
did on the children.
What did Mark say about the shooting? Who shot him? Was that Claybold? Was it Harris? Who did the shooting?
Harris.
What did he...
It was Harris. Harris. And by the way, both of those boys were going to the same anger management classes, Claybold and Dylan. And I believe both of them were on the drugs, no doubt. We know for sure Eric was. We're pretty sure that Dylan was too. And I met some of Dylan's friends later. Somebody knew him, and they said he was on Prozac. And my niece told me that Dylan and Eric changed a lot. They started wearing black clothing, and their personality changed a lot when they were on the drugs.
And we know there was a lot of that going on, because there was another case before Columbine where the kid was hung to death because he was being assaulted by a cop, okay? In this case, the cop made friends with him because he was also a coach at Columbine High School. So we have so much information, but we can't get the authorities. This even goes into child trafficking. For God's sakes, I can't hardly deal with some of these issues that we've got to deal with now. But yes, we have a woman whose husband got murdered, and it was because he was going to expose the child trafficking that's going on in this county. And if you like Satanists, well, join the club with those people. If you don't like Satanists, then stand with us and get this stuff stopped, because that man was mutilated in a satanic ritual that appeared by his body that was found 47 days later naked in Bear Creek. If you're interested in that story, just Google Bobby Brown Missing Piece, P-E-A-C-E, and you'll see a trailer of a movie that Bobby Brown, who is the investigator for the dog, is at my home. Most of those scenes that you see, or majority of them, are at my home, where they were guests at my home. So we're fighting back. And this, we're hoping this documentary is exposing this, that we can also get the Columbine tragedy exposed, and this may even connect to the John Benet Ramsey case. There are similarities between what she learned as to the name of this child trafficking group called the Fat Cats. And there's, in the ransom note from John Ramsey, they mentioned the Fat Cats. So we're getting onto something here that I think once we get some authorities that will realize that, yes, we are requiring, in our website it says we're requesting an investigation. No, we're demanding an investigation. This has gone way too far.
All right, hold on a minute. I've got one caller here who has a block number. Normally, I won't even take a call from a block number. But who are you, and what can I do for you? Okay, now they just dropped off. Nothing but harassment. Nothing but harassment. Okay. What we're facing. I mean, I've been doing these stories for so many years. I mean, we did the stories of the Christines, I mean, the Child Protective Services came in and took them out of a perfectly healthy home. Their parents or family were driving around on a bus, and now the Christines are in prison, charged with trying to kidnap their children back. And oh, by the way, let's see, the man that defended them was Edgar Steele, who's now been put in prison, charged with trying to hire a hitman to kill his wife. And the hitman was simply an FBI informant that stole $50,000 in silver from the couple and planted bombs in both of their cars, which somehow never went off. It's really incredible. It's incredible what is happening in this country right now to ordinary people. I've always referred to myself as the canary in the coal mine. Why? Because of the way I talk, the subjects that I get on and discuss openly. You know, I've been targeted. But now it's starting to happen to so many people. I mean, they're trying to demonize the Oath Keepers. They're trying to demonize our veterans. And this whole with this Obamacare, if you think it's been bad before, folks, if you think what they're talking about is a horror story now, take a deep breath and count to 3. Watch what happens.
Well, we're in a situation now where even the Tea Party's being invaded by the Republican Party, and you know, it's at a point now. If I can't get anything done here, I'm going to be ashamed to be a patriot too. I'll get out of here. I'll be an ex-patriot.
Wait a minute. Listen, you mean?
I don't stand with people that won't stand up.
You mean
if the patriots won't stand up, I'm out of here.
You mean? You know, Sarah Palin advocating war with Iran. I mean, that's not being patriotic. And by the way, they tried to demonize the whole Tea Party movement. They tried to demonize the whole Tea Party movement using me. Oh, you know, Clay Douglas, he's an anti-Semite. He's a radical. He's anti-government. And he was seen going to a Tea Party. He joined a Tea Party website. Ooh.
Well, you know, I have a little tar baby here because nobody wants to talk about why the kids are dead at Columbine when it comes to butt rape. So in this case, the litmus test has been tested on quite a few politicians in the past. And I would suggest we even put this on maybe Palin's plate or Obama's plate. Hey, bud, what you going to do with this? Are you going to stand with the children or are you going to stand with the cops? And in this case, that picture kind of says it all. Are you interested in helping children, or are you going to allow these lies to go on so the children run defenseless? I can see where we better get some head cams on these cops when they're around our kids. I can see where there's technological improvement to be made here. I worked in aircraft, and we used to always be on our best behavior in the cockpit. So in this case, yeah, let's get some watchdogs on the watchdogs. I'm the last one that wants Big Brother to be filming me, but in this case, we need to be filming them.
Yeah, I think that might not be a bad move. You know, they're wearing the uniforms. They got all the equipment anyway. They can certainly tap our phones. Obviously,
yeah, they've already got us on camera, so it's time to get them on camera. They had a tape when they assaulted me, and you could even hear them play into the tape, like they're saying, "Stand back." I said, "Excuse me, but I haven't gone anywhere." You know, I mean, they're playing off to the tape, trying to make a scenario on the tape, which wasn't true. So I kind of felt like, oh, I'm being framed here. It's going to happen. And sure enough, before I could get to safety, this guy, well, I had actually gotten turned, so he attacked me from behind instead of from, you know, face up. And then that caused the damage of the two of them piling on me, dogpiling me. So, yeah, in this case, if they want to use technology to try to frame someone, let's use technology to keep their effing hands off of us. And if next time you go to the airport and you let them do it, then you're a sheeple. An attorney I have, he's one of the first guys to stand up against that kind of nonsense. Get your hands off of me. And Americans need to say that to these people and say it loud and clear. So I'm just hoping that we can get on with our lives and get some of these truths out, because that's the only way we're going to be able to go forward here. And it's been way too long with the Columbine tragedy for me to think that I'm going to stay a minute longer in this country than I have to. They've let me down so much it makes me shoot.
Well, Ron,
I'm sorry, I'm a patriot. You know?
The thing is, they don't call it the New World Order for nothing. I've interviewed people from all over.
Right on it.
I've interviewed people from all over the world. I've had people from Argentina that says, yeah, what's happening in America right now happened here 50 years ago.
I'm so ashamed. I'm ashamed of this country. They won't stand up for their own children. Protect them from those evil people that would have sex with them. Would you, please? What am I asking for? Just common sense here. I'm upset because I'm sitting here talking to you with a broken back, and I don't see why I should have to be doing this myself.
Ron, look what they did to John, the Ramsey case where she was sexually messed with and then murdered.
Well, yeah, we're suspecting that she was a trafficked child to the Ramseys. We've got some other things in the tape that makes you know who did it, because they say, we're very familiar with police tactics, and we'll know if you contacted the Boulder Police Department. Now, who is that would have the guts to say something like they're connected enough to know that they could get a phone call, okay? Yeah, it's corrupt government that's causing this. You can even see the way the media came down on that family, accusing them, and how the family couldn't fight back because if it's a trafficked child, they don't want to talk about that. So poor little John Benet's in the middle. What would solve it would be a DNA test. And I can't find where one has been done on the child that matches the Ramsey family. So until then, I guess we could say the case is not closed. But, yeah, we can only go so far.
No, they cover up too much, Ron. All they do is cover up. They don't investigate, they cover up.
The FBI was all over Columbine, which they claim is a school shooting of a couple kids that get angry at their classmates, but it wasn't all over the John Benet Ramsey case where they're saying we're a foreign faction. Now, I can't quite figure that one out either. There's some real anomalies going on here.
Ron, I'm going to tell you something. At the mental health place, they told me not to talk about Columbine. Do not let any Mark's friends come there. Can't see nobody about Columbine. Can't do a documentary. Can't do any news on Columbine. I said every year they ask how much you're doing. Now I can't ask. They can't ask. I'm going to have to tell them that you won't let them talk.
Wait a minute. Who is hold on, Ron. Who is telling you this, Donna? Who is saying you can't talk about Columbine? Who?
The damn mental health division in Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, we'll see about that. I'm going to talk about Columbine. I'm going to ask the mental health people. I'll offer
out as an unfit mother. An unfit mother that went through the worst tragedy in the world. I'm an unfit mother.
They are saying that about you right now?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
How many children have you raised?
7. I raised 7 children.
And Mark's brothers aren't allowed to see him either, are they?
Well, hardly. They're real careful in watching everything they're saying on the phone to him. But they cut me off just because I asked, when is Mark going to be able to come home? I kept pressuring him.
All
and
right.
They wouldn't answer.
All
they will not answer because they have a plan keeping him. They have a plan, you see.
All right, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. I will offer the mental health department, the people that are running these homes, I'll offer them equal time on my show. Ron, Donna, thank you for being on my show. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you, Clay. Thank you. You're a wonderful man to
I appreciate any help we can get. Pray for us, please.
All right. Thank you very much, folks.
Keep your powder dry. We'll talk to you.
All right. Bye-bye now. Hang on just a second, folks, and let me do this. What happened here? Let me see. Still got Crusade up. We'll put that down. Talk shoe, I still got it up. Take that one off.